Hi, I'm attachment specialist Adam Lane Smith, and today I'm going to answer a question I get all the time. How do you deepen your bond as a couple and get really close to each other? Today I'm going to dive into the deep science behind this, but make it very easy to understand. Because if you don't understand, there's no way you can use it. Today we're going to be talking about a few chemicals, especially two called vasopressin and oxytocin. Now, every time I talk about vasopressin on my TikTok channel, where I'm at Attachment Bro, it explodes. I got 2.8 million views on just one 60-second reply video I made to somebody's question, just about vasopressin alone. I've got millions and millions of views over there. It is mind-blowing how much people want to learn more about vasopressin. But the counterpart that people don't really know that much about is oxytocin, especially oxytocin fear, what I call oxytocin aversion, where it scares the crap out of you to get that close to somebody, and why it feels scary to bond with people and why you want to run away when things get too close. So I'm going to teach you about both of those today, how to leverage the good elements of oxytocin and vasopressin and the other bonding practices into the best relationship of your life, and how couples can get closer than they ever dreamed that they could. We're going to jump into this, and real quick, if you want more information on this or any other topic, make sure you check my website, adamlanesmith.com. I've got tons of resources on there for you. Also, check the other videos here on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed, and as we go through this, drop your questions down in the comment section below. I love to hear those comments, or just drop, hey, this sounds like fun. Throw some comments in, interact. It's always fun to talk to you guys. Thank you for following along so far. It's been a wild year. We're going to blow up even bigger in year two. Let's jump right in. Bonding as a couple. It doesn't just come down to the chemicals, but let's talk about the chemicals first. Vasopressin is the biggest one I get questions on because no one knows much about it, even though it predates oxytocin in the animal genome. Here on Earth, most animals have something called vasopressin, especially us humans. It's built in. It's older than oxytocin is, older than our species was. We have both, but it's important, especially because men have more vasopressin receptors in our brains than women do. There's a reason for this. We'll get to that. Vasopressin, real quick, what do you need to know? It's a hormone released when you solve problems with another person. When you solve a challenge, you overcome stress, you beat a mission together, you accomplish something together, you build something together, you do something that you can high five and say, we did this. Now, there's a couple pieces here. Your brains both need to recognize that the other person worked on it with you. If you have something like avoidant attachment style that makes you think that you did it yourself and you leveraged other people into doing it like a tool, not going to make the bond happen. So a lot of people out there are saying, you know, I did this with men for a lot, this one man, and he betrayed me. He probably had avoidant attachment, and that was probably the problem. He was never fully connected to you. Make sure the attachment lines up, even reasonably well, and you should get some of this vasopressin bond. But here's what needs to happen. You need to solve something that you both care about. It's just a little bit of stress or a lot of stress. And the bigger the stress and the more you work together as a team, the bigger the vasopressin bond. This is why guys go off to war together and come back best friends until they're 90 years old. Gang members do this. Construction crews do this. People starting companies together, they can do this as long as they can actually effectively work together. Your brain logs when you accomplish something with someone and says, that was great. I need to be able to count on this person in the future when something happens. I need to keep this person around. And it emotionally invests in that person and starts also building oxytocin bonding. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But this is how you often get men to emotionally invest in the relationship, is especially with a vasopressin bonding. And the research shows the more you renew that vasopressin, as the length of a romantic relationship goes on, the more your honeymoon phase expands out, or you get fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh honeymoon phases, and the more you will turn toward each other in a crisis because your brain knows, hey, I can trust that person. We're actually bonded together. That's great. You need that. And I'm going to talk more in this video in a little bit about how to make vasopressin happen and how to make oxytocin happen. That'll happen in the second half of the video. Oxytocin is a counterpart here. If vasopressin is bonding in overcoming stress, oxytocin is bonding in the absence of stress. When things are calm, they're relaxed, right? It's that bonding moment, the pillow talk after physical intimacy. It's walking and holding hands. It's sharing something intimate. It's sharing a secret that has hurt you. It's sharing a fear and getting reassurance. It is a kiss on the forehead. It's a kiss on the mouth sometimes. It is squeezing the butt. It is sharing a need and having it received well with the other person. It's being accepted. It's bonding with the other person and sharing a laugh and sharing a moment together. All of these moments, these are oxytocin pieces. And I'll talk more about how to release some of that in the future and then in the second half of this video. But oxytocin is those warm moments where you feel really connected to the other person. Now, oxytocin is crucial. It's great for the sex drive, by the way, for both sexes, but oxytocin is really important because it also releases something called GABA in your brain. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that decreases feelings of anxiety and depression because it says, I don't need to feel hurt or scared because there are people who love me. It's your brain's way of chemically reassuring you and saying you don't need that, so it decreases those bad feelings and pushes them away. It makes you more resilient against stress in the future. Oxytocin and GABA, incredibly important. Incredibly important. Can't really live without them. I mean, you can, but it's awful. Both of these in tandem bond a couple together through the absence of stress, the warmth, the care, the nurturing, the love. That necessarily isn't just enough to keep men hooked. That makes men feel good. Vasopressin makes men feel like you are valuable, like a team. Men love teams. Men love solutions. Men love goals. When you work together, and especially then when you hit a crisis later in life, he turns toward his partner instead of turning away from his partner to solve it on his own and then connecting to someone else who makes him feel good while he's working alone on the problem. This is often how you avoid affairs during crisis moments with men. Very big problem. Happens all the time. Vasopressin is usually the answer. This is why you need to understand these bonding pieces. And these are the chemicals behind the good bonding things you should be doing anyway. It's not just, oh, chemicals, chemicals, chemicals. It's not just sticking a needle in their neck and injecting them with a chemical or a hormone. It is doing the right things to show and nurture that trust with a cognitive being that also resonates with the chemical being and the biological being underneath. It is both layers at once, if that makes sense. So in the second half of this video, when I talk to you about how to release those chemicals, you're going to notice, wow, that would actually make me feel loved and trusted and safe. I don't know if I need the chemicals to make that. No, it's both. It's both, because you perceive it, you also feel it. You can't pull them apart. It's not one or the other. It's both at the same time. People ask all the time, is it love or is it just a chemical reaction? No, it's both. It's both. So let's talk about how to make vasopressin happen. Vasopressin, again, is overcoming stress. It could be something as little, accomplishing a little mission as doing a jigsaw puzzle together. In my community, my attachment circle community, one of the practices that people do in there is when they go on a first date, they take a puzzle, a little jigsaw puzzle, not a 1,000-piece wheat field, but a 50-piece puzzle, maybe like Marvel Avengers or whatever it is, something cool that people have used. And they go on their first date and they do this 50-piece puzzle at the table and they see the other person, how they interact with them. Are they doing the puzzle with you? Are they just sitting back and letting you do it? Are they knocking your hand out of the way to get to the puzzle piece and hyper competitive? Are they, what are they doing? How are they solving this problem with you? It's fun. And at the end, boom, you did a puzzle and you high five over it and you enjoyed it together. And you've also learned something about each other. This is a little bit of vasopressin. Escape rooms, vasopressin, if you do it together. Learning skills together and practicing together so you both get better, vasopressin. Teaching each other skills and helping each other practice so you each get better at that skill, and now you share a skill, vasopressin. Solving problems in your life, big vasopressin. Building an IKEA bookshelf together. If you survive the experience, vasopressin. Repairing something in your home, repairing a car, rebuilding something, building a birdhouse, building 10 birdhouses as gifts to give away. All of these are little ways to overcome a little stress, finding a new experience and overcoming it together. Going camping, interestingly, vasopressin. Solving bigger problems, paying off a debt, solving a bigger challenge, solving something at work, helping the other person, working together to get through a difficult time period together, vasopressin. All of those, overcoming them when you can say, high five, we did this. What a team we make. And both of you feel it, that's vasopressin. And that opens the floodgates then for oxytocin bonding, because your brain says, we are connected, we are a team. I never have to go alone in this world again because we're fully bonded and safe. This, absolutely crucial. Now, oxytocin, the counterpart. How do you make this work? Again, holding hands, sharing, nurturing. Some people are oxytocin averse if they didn't get much in childhood, so sometimes they will avoid these things. After the bedroom experience, men and women will jump up and get out of the bed. They don't want to snuggle, they don't want to touch, they don't want to talk, they're holding back, they'll escape. Oxytocin aversion because they're scared of that bonding. After physical lovemaking, it's the second half. You're quitting at halftime. Bonding, you both flooded with oxytocin so you can both connect, especially women afterward, especially women. That's what the cliche is, that women want to talk and snuggle afterward. They are full of oxytocin bonding if the experience went well. They're full of oxytocin bonding and they are connected with the other person. Now, in the bedroom, men, they don't receive as much oxytocin bonding from a physical climax as women do, is what the research tends to show. It doesn't bond to them the same way. The oxytocin doesn't, but what does bond them is doing the different activities together and helping you, women I'm speaking to, achieve your climax. When you can both do that, you can high five and say, we did this. This was great. We did it as a couple. We achieved it. We achieved 5. We achieved 10. This is why he's got numbers on the brain. If he loves you, he will. This is why. Because he wants to be able to high five and achieve a goal with you. That's the weird, goal-focused sexual being that the man can be if he really cares about you, but it's achieving vasopressin bonding together. And then it opens the door for oxytocin bonding as well. Women during climax flooded with oxytocin. This is what foreplay is supposed to do, by the way. It's supposed to introduce oxytocin that makes it easier to become aroused. Then, because the foreplay was good, you flooded with oxytocin, makes it easier to achieve climax, and each climax makes it easier to achieve the next one because you are flooding with more and more oxytocin with every climax. By the end, you're like half dead, but you feel so warm and connected and safe and bonded. Oxytocin is what this is. But again, holding hands, sharing, connecting, bonding. I talk on this channel all the time about fixing attachment. Fixing your attachment together as a couple, huge vasopressin and oxytocin bond that you can achieve together. The couples who go through my attachment bootcamp video course, for example, and they watch it together, they have a shared language about attachment, and then they fix the attachment problems that have haunted both of them for so long, and they feel so much better, and they build intimate love with each other for the first time they've ever felt with anyone. Huge vasopressin and oxytocin release in both of them. Weld them like human superglue together because they overcame that massive pain. Fixing your attachment together is a huge boost of both. And many times that is the case. When you overcome challenges together and really enjoy it and then relax into it afterward, vasopressin and oxytocin can both be flowing and you can build these things. Now, these principles I'm teaching you here are often, many of them, those chemicals. It's not just with your romantic partner. These can happen at work with people you do work challenges with and you solve problems together. Work affairs can happen often because of this. People often can bond with their kids through these hormones as well, especially oxytocin, but vasopressin, especially as they get older and they can work with you on things. Friendships, vasopressin, especially business co-founding relationships that start off as friendships or become friendships, huge vasopressin as you go through these challenges. These chemicals are what bond you. And if you engage in both, then you as a couple will get deeper and deeper bonded and your intimacy will grow. Now, so many people who come into my coaching practice say, Adam, my marriage is cold. There's no physical intimacy. And I don't know why. Almost every time. It's a lack of oxytocin bonding. Sometimes because the person doesn't know how to speak to their partner or share their needs. Sometimes because there's resentment and we got to get that out of the way. But almost always there's an absence of oxytocin. Again, either through resentment or just through not knowing what to do. So you either fix the problems and then build in the oxytocin, or you just I teach the flooding of oxytocin, how to build it on purpose through massage, through holding hands, through sharing, through opening up a little bit more, through sharing needs, through talking and communicating a little bit better, by sharing what's on the inside and asking for connection with the other person so that they understand who you are and what you want from them, so they can feel useful to you and feel bonded with you. This is crucial. Emotional connection, emotional intimacy is oxytocin release. And it really emotional intimacy drives the long-term longevity of a relationship as you go further. It's that vasopressin solving problems together, and also the oxytocin of feeling warm and safe with the other person because you've solved the problems together and have low stress, but also actually like each other. The more oxytocin you have flowing, the better you're both going to be feeling about each other, and the more good faith you're going to give, and the more benefit of the doubt you're also going to give to the other person. Here's why these are so important to you. I mean, it sounds self-obvious, but these are really important because if you're looking to build a fulfilling relationship that's going to last, you don't want something that's going to explode. You don't want something that's going to fall cold and miserable. You don't want a divorce. You don't want to split up, and you don't want to harm any children that come into this. You want to build the most loving, intimate family that you can if you're going to aim for a family. This is one of the biggest pieces with attachment problems, is that families, many of them, don't know the good things they're supposed to do to build this bonding. If you are building this bonding with each other as a couple on purpose, and you happen to have children or adopt children, this is what you can also do to build better bonds with your kids and improve their attachment as they get older. These things you're practicing as a couple will keep your family intact and help you build intimate bonds with your kids. But let's assume that the kids aren't on the horizon yet. This still will build you better daily life quality because this will decrease your stress, improve your bonding, and decrease the risk of affairs and destruction. Because if you're vasopressin and oxytocin bonded and you're that open to each other and that trusting, where is there room for an affair? When a problem comes up, you both like each other and know you can solve problems. You say, all right, I'm not happy about this, but let's solve this problem together. Let's figure this one out. What can we do? Well, let's do this. Oh, well, that's a great idea. And you solve the problem and you fix it in good faith and you actually trust each other. This is why building these hormones and bonding like this is crucial, because it keeps you together through the difficult times. I hope that makes sense, because bonding is not just for the good times. It makes the good times, but it's also important for the bad times. If you're doing a good thing right now and feeling good in your relationship, build this bonding on purpose. It can help you through the difficult times that are coming. I hate to spoil that for you. Spoiler alert. And if you're in a bad time right now, start practicing these bonding techniques together. Show this video to your partner and say, can we do some of these? Do you think this would help us if we could build this connection and bond better? Do you think this would make us work better as a team? Yeah, it will. do this. Build these bonds in. Build this intimacy. If you need a resource for this, check out my Attachment Bootcamp video course. There should be a link for it down in the description below. Also available on my website, adamlanesmith.com. Go through my Attachment Bootcamp course together and build vasopressin and oxytocin together as a couple as you go, because that will show you how to improve the emotional intimacy and get obstacles out of your way and stop either one of you from sabotaging the relationships. I also have deeper dives in there about vasopressin, oxytocin, how men bond, how women bond, how to put all of this together into a romantic relationship that can last a lifetime. If you want all that information, check my Attachment Bootcamp course. Again, adamlanesmith.com. But all of this that I've shared with you in this video is stuff you should share with your partner. Watch this video with them and ask them if this makes sense to them. Then ask, how can we incorporate this into our relationship to make it even better? Vasopressin and oxytocin right there. There you go. And then you do them and you high five and yell vasopressin. My wife and I, sounds nerdy, but my wife and I do that all the time. When we go through something and we say, vasopressin, we high five, because we know that's what's happening. And it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable to watch your own relationship level up. And you can be doing this as you bond as a couple. So for more tips like this, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Check more of the videos on my channel. I have 5 long vasopressin guides just here on this channel alone. Check out Adam Lane Smith vasopressin. Just type it into my channel, vasopressin. You'll see the whole playlist pop in and populate. This has been a big topic. Like I said, I've got millions and millions of views over on TikTok. Check me out over there. I'm at Attachment Bro. I also do 6 live events a week over there. Check me out. Come to my live events, 7 p.m. Monday and Tuesday Central Time, and 11 a.m. Wednesday and Thursday Central Time, plus a couple floating lives that I pop in and out of. Check those out. Come connect with me over there. I'd love to see you. Ask me your questions and drop me some comments down below on some of these things you want to try. But the biggest thing I'd like you to do is take this video and show it to somebody in your life and say, can we do this? Let's give it a shot.